bet it's a fantastic place to play when results are going for you. How about when they're not? And he said, it's still an honour and the best club to play for in the world. That's the attitude that a lot of them don't show.
If you want a test for your manager there, that's the test. Henry or Ronaldo?
Stinks, doesn't it, that? The Premier League bias creeps in a little bit here.
I guess so, yeah. I've upset some big names, but if I was manager, that's what I'd do.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast. It is episode 9 of the 24-25 Premier League season and episode 55 of the Game of Two Halves podcast overall. Absolutely storming through them now. 55, be 100 before you know it.
Yeah. We're going to have to do something for the 100th
We have to
episode,
plan something very special for everybody. If you're new to the podcast, this is a weekly Premier League podcast. It's on all platforms, really. Uploaded on YouTube. It's also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you prefer to listen. If you're a regular listener, thanks for coming back to watch or listen. And we're going to dive straight into it, really. Have you got an interesting fact for us this week?
No.
That's quite interesting.
Right, so I've got an interesting fact, and this is to include the whole of the Premier League in there. So it's about Brighton and Hove Albion. So when they achieved promotion in 2016-17 season to the Premier League, how many years did it end of not being in top flight football?
Of who not being in top?
Brighton.
Hang on. I don't get it.
So they got promoted in the 2016-17 season.
To the Prem?
Yeah, to the Prem. How many years were they absent from top flight? So they ended this year absence.
I'm going to say they've never been in the Premier League.
34-year absence.
Oh, from the top flight, obviously. Yeah, so they hadn't been in the Prem.
Yeah.
That's first time in the Premier League.
Top flight of English football.
Yeah, they're not a team that I think of when I think Premier League.
No.
Despite the fact they're ran
you
very
would
well.
now, wouldn't you? They're set in there now.
But maybe we'll have to do it on the pod some week. But have you ever seen people online that go pick your perfect 20 of teams to make your perfect Premier League season? Brighton don't make it for me.
Are Blackburn in there because they was in there for ages?
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Obviously, you make it to yourself. It may be what teams
I think
you
it's
think
what
as
you
being
grew
nostalgic.
up.
Yeah, it depends what era you grew up in.
Yeah.
And then obviously...
you could probably put Portsmouth in there, couldn't you?
Yeah. I think obviously there's some that probably just have to get in on merit. They've won league titles, they've won European Cups. And then other than that, you can maybe throw a few in that are personal to you that are nostalgic about. But Brighton have got a long way to go to make my perfect 20, let's just say that. Okay,
we'll go into this week's results then. Liverpool managed to get a 1-0 win away at Crystal Palace.
Potential banana skin, that, isn't it? Selhurst Park, difficult place to go.
Yeah, they haven't been quite high, have they, Palace this season? We should have got a win there, United. So Arsenal managed to keep up the win streak, against Southampton, 3-1. You didn't expect anything else.
No.
Brentford scoring again early on, but it was the second minute this time.
5-3, was it?
5-3,
I don't think anyone's picked that in Super 6. If you've picked 5-3 in Super 6, fair play.
Yeah, no chance. But yeah, second minute, so they're scoring early. I don't know what's going on with them. I'm
sure someone still scored first minute, though. So, the golden minute prediction thing on Super 6 this week was still minute 1 again.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, someone scored minute 1, I'm sure.
Leicester beat Bournemouth, which was a bit of a surprise.
First win of the season for Leicester in the league.
So Fulham nearly actually got a draw against City, but it ended 3-2. The man who replaced Rodri managed to get 2, Kovacic.
Yeah, that's his third in the Prem this season, I think.
Yeah, he's been playing well because for some reason people didn't realise Rodri only played 1 or 2 this season that started because Kovacic was starting him anyway.
I think because he came back late from the Euros, and I don't know if he had because he went off in the final, didn't he?
Mm.
So he hadn't started the season anyway, Rodri.
No. Obviously the 4-1 that were West Ham against Ipswich. You had the 0-0 at Everton. There was some controversy there, should it have been a penner? But we won't go into that. The Aston Villa United played today, 0-0, bit of a ball fest.
Definitely.
Chelsea v Forest was 1-1. Forest ended up getting a guy sent off in that.
Yeah, Ward-Prowse, 2 yellows.
Yeah. There was Tottenham now is 3-2 to Brighton.
Oh, yeah.
So they've come back from 2-0.
Come back from the dead. They've done an Everton.
And it is Welbeck.
That guy Welbs. That's crazy.
I was just going to ask you, because we think like Thomas Frank might move on this next season or the season after at least. Like it's got to be soon, surely. But I was just wondering, like we always think he's at least gonna have an upgrade. But what would an upgrade be for Thomas Frank?
I think, in terms of if it was to be Premier League, which I think is probably very likely to be, if he leaves Brentford, he'll stay in the Premier League because people know he's a tried and tested manager within the division. I would say, and there's no disrespect to Brentford, I think they've done really well under Thomas Frank, and I like the style of football that he's tried to implement there. I'd say any team that's realistically like a top 6 team, and I don't mean that in your typical big 6, I mean a team that's in and around fighting for European places would be an upgrade on Brentford for him. I do think he's genuinely probably capable of managing a top 4 team from what we've seen.
Yeah.
Might be a step too far, I'm not sure. But I think an upgrade would certainly be a team that, maybe not top 6, maybe top 8. You know, a team that's in and around competing every season to finish in European places.
The team that came to my head is Newcastle, because if Eddie Howe left
agree. I would agree. Newcastle, relatively big club, want to be fighting for Europe. Could see that being a pretty good fit. I mean, me and you even discussed last season, maybe some of the listeners will remember, that could he have been a potential Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp successor? Yeah. Obviously, we know that didn't happen. Arne Slot's there now. But I thought he'd showed a lot of characteristics, and certainly in his style of play and his football and his charisma as well, just the way he is as a person, reminded me a lot of Jurgen Klopp. And I think Liverpool could have done a lot worse than Thomas Frank. I think he would have been a good appointment. But yeah, with no disrespect to Brentford, despite the fact, you know, I think their goals must be on a season by season basis to survive first and foremost, and then just do as best as they can. I don't think you need to be top half. Blah, blah, blah. I think it's just like stay up, see how high you can get.
There's no outstanding players in Brentford. That's why I think he's doing a fantastic job. Obviously, there's Mbermo that I think is the last man standing. Really, he's got to go soon.
I think they've got players there that could do a job for some bigger teams. I don't think they're world beaters.
Yeah, they're like squad
but
players,
they're pretty steady, decent Premier League level players.
I think he's getting the best out of them that he could.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's a great manager.
So, saying about Liverpool, actually, there is the thing that's going round about their next 7 fixtures.
Yeah, it looks awful.
Yeah, so this is a real tester.
It's entertaining from the fans' point of view and for the neutrals' point of view, because there's going to be some good games in there.
Yeah, they've got Southampton away. It's no, that's one of them, but
that's Liverpool's B team. Not like half of them used to be when they played Southampton. It'd be
Ricky Lambert,
all their future transfers to Liverpool.
Arne, Nathaniel Klein,
yeah.
Who else did they get?
Who they got? Didn't they get a centre half from there?
I was thinking of centre half, but Lovren,
Van Dijk.
Oh yeah, and Lovren. But yeah, so the first one when they come back from international break, it's saying here is Chelsea.
Tough game. Chelsea played quite well. Start to see. I know they've slipped up against Forest with a point at home, but tough game really. Forest started really well. We'll
probably go more into these when the next pod, because that'll be before the kick off. But yeah, so they've got Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, Aston Villa, Southampton, City, and Newcastle. They are, if you want a test for your manager, that's the test.
I think you're right. I think we've both discussed that we've been quite impressed with them, with the manager and Liverpool, and they've started the season well. Obviously, it's early on, but if they get through that relatively unscathed, you know, picking points up here and there and don't completely fall to pieces, I think that'll be a telling sign for how Liverpool go on and compete this season in the various competitions. But from what I've seen, I do think they'll do relatively well, even if they don't come through that with a complete clean sweep. I can see them doing well.
If you put on, like, I think we're just starved of results and performances at the minute with United fans, but I'm in a sense of if they put up a fight in the game, I'm happy. Like, I'd be happy as a Liverpool fan, if you put a fight against them.
Yeah, if they can get through them without picking up any major blows to the squad as well, it's a big thing because they've got some players there that are irreplaceable. So that's a big thing as well.
You just focus on winning your home games, really. Obviously, they've got Arsenal away, but the Chelsea's at home. I mean, I'd say you got to win that Chelsea one. The Arsenal one, I wouldn't be too downhearted about. I'd try and get a draw at least there.
Liverpool's still top of the league this weekend. I'm pretty sure they were
top
of the league before City played, but I think they were top anyway, as long as they won their game.
They are top, by 1 point.
Yeah.
The goal difference is the best in the league so far.
Another clean sheet this weekend. I would say, I think on another day, I mean, it's been the tale of Crystal Palace's season so far, really. From obviously, I'm not professing to be a Palace fan and watch every game, but I've seen enough of them that just not quite got it in the final third, whether it's the actual attempt on target, whether it's the final ball.
It's strange, isn't it? Because we all said about that Glasner, how good of a manager he is and like how he looked when he first came in. And then you look at the results, you're like, oh my God, like, what's going on? But he's still playing quite well.
Yeah, if you've watched him, I think you know the difference. I mean, it must be very frustrating from a Palace fan's perspective because you can see how close they are in a lot of these games.
Yeah.
And they're not quite getting the points or the results to show for it. And I think Liverpool at Selhurst Park this weekend was another example of that, where I've seen a few times. I mean, I think they rode the luck in the first half. Liverpool had a really dominant first half, but in that second half, considering Palace had got in at 1-0 down, they had a lot of really good chances getting into the edge of the area. It was putting it at the goalkeeper, even Alisson going off, big blow. I don't know if we know the extent of that at present.
I think it's at least till the end of it's 2 weeks after the international break, they're saying.
So it's not great then.
No.
What's the situation with Kelleher? I know he was. They played. I forgot his bloody name now. The lad that they brought on, because I'd never heard of him before. But Kelleher wasn't even on the bench. I didn't know if he is out of favour, if he's out on loan, if he wasn't picked. I didn't know what the situation actually was.
I think Kelleher's quite decent for a second.
I know he is, yeah, I'd agree. Just while we're on, I'm going to very quickly find this because it's going to annoy me and I want to make sure that we've got it right for everyone listening, even though people probably, certainly Liverpool fans listening, will probably know this guy's name already.
Oh my God, Jaros.
Jaros, yeah.
Yeah.
So he got subbed on for Alisson because he was the only keeper listed on the bench.
Yeah.
And they were saying his last game in English football before he came on for Liverpool this weekend was for Stockport against Salford. Or
Really?
Something like that, yeah.
Wow.
I think he's been on loan abroad since then. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. This is what I was listening to in the match commentary. He did all right when he come on. Did the simple things well.
I mean, you've got to take them opportunities, haven't you?
You never know when you're going to get a chance to be Liverpool's number one, when you're the third in the pecking order.
Yeah.
If third, I mean, they signed that Georgian guy that's out on loan somewhere now. Or I don't know what they did with that transfer fee, whether he was coming next year or he's immediately loaned out.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But yeah, great result, really. It's like everyone says, the signs of a title-winning team, whether Liverpool are going to prove to be that or not, is getting those results, and whether it's 1-0 or their best performance, they've won it, and they draw a line under it and move on.
Yeah,
but the blow to Alisson, I'd say, is a concern.
Yeah, I'd say so too. I just wanted to get your reaction on the United game quickly. Some were saying, I think Scholes said that we were definitely harder to play against. There's a kind of a sense that did Ten Hag just want to close up shop and make sure his job's secured just for a little bit longer? You were saying Aston Villa weren't at it, so what's your take on it?
I mean, that could well be true with regards to like what Scholes said. Were we harder to break down? I think the reality of it is, if Aston Villa were at it today, we would have lost the game. I don't think United and that's easy to say because I don't think we were fantastic either. We
had good parts, but
we were improved on what we've seen, but that isn't difficult.
Yeah, again, there wasn't any clear chances created.
No, we had, a free kick that Bruno rattled the bar. Rashford had a one-on-one in the first 5 minutes. We broke right at the end. We had a counter-attack and Garnacho doesn't beat his man to square the ball over. Other than that, you could probably reel off 2 or 3 chances Villa had in the game. Listen, a point at Villa Park when Villa are as good as they have been in the last couple of seasons under Unai Emery isn't a bad result. It can be a banana skin for the best of teams. But the football is soul destroying. I'm sat there, it's sucking all the life out of me.
Yeah.
And all I want is, forget all the talk about Erik ten Hag for a second. All I want to do is watch Manchester United contest to win football games. And despite the fact we had moments today, I still don't think we're that team. Johnny Evans' post-match interview today, thought he had a great game, all things considered, whether Villa were at it or not. At his age, to play 90 minutes at that level, I thought he did pretty well. He got man of the match from Sky.
It is a bit strange, though, how Ten Hag was complaining about his defence last season, and then he takes his 2 players that he's brought in to the club
and
for the players that he was complaining about last season.
Yeah. They were saying, obviously, you've played for United at completely different times in your career. And they was basically said, I bet it's a fantastic place to play when results are going for you. How about when they're not? And he said, still an honour and the best club to play for in the world. That's the attitude that a lot of them don't show.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, anyone can say that and not mean it. But you can tell Johnny Evans, especially from the fact he was basically released from Leicester and then got a move to Manchester United. You can tell
he was never supposed to play.
In the twilight years of his career, he's thinking, and the fans are chanting his name in the Stretford end, he's thinking, I didn't think I'd ever be here again like this. And you can tell he really appreciates it. And seeing him get a performance like that, when he's got his minutes, I'm very chuffed for him.
With Johnny Evans, I thought he was our best defender last season for the age that he is and all that. And
the amount of minutes he had to play.
Yeah, and some of the passing, like he can be on his left foot and he just dinks it over a couple of players today. It was, I think he's great, but you can't really have that as your starting centre back, can you?
No, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, with it being the international break, I thought we'd go into international themed stuff.
This is where everyone turns off now.
Turn off.
Stay, please give us a chance.
Actually, it's quite interesting this because I've picked 2 of like iconic teams, I'd say, nationality-wise. And I want you to do a bit of this or that.
There's not England ones, just international.
Said iconic teams, lad.
Oh, okay.
You can't have an England iconic team, can you?
Can.
Well, yeah, we did get to final, actually, didn't we? I wouldn't class as an iconic team, though. So one of them was the Brazil 02 that won the World Cup.
Okay.
And the France 06, they didn't win, but they got beat on pens by Italy. Yeah. It was when Zidane got sent off.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got the Brazil 04 and the Brazil 02 and France 06 team.
Okay.
A bit of this or that.
Is this just my preference? I don't have to be categorically correct.
No, don't say because they won it and they didn't.
Yeah,
just say
pick who I prefer.
You prefer the players.
Okay, so you heard the man. This is my decision. So roast me.
Who you think's better, right? Ability wise, just like who you'd prefer. So I've got Dida or Bartes.
Dida for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to pick Bartes for the United banter, but it's Dida, isn't it?
Yeah. Gallas or Lucio.
Lucio, I think. Gallas is
they're
good.
Brilliant, yeah. I think I know this. Vieira or Gilberto Silva. Gilberto Silva.
Vieira,
yeah,
for sure.
He's like one of your favourite players, isn't he? Makelele or Rivaldo.
That's very difficult. They named the role after him. Let's go Makelele. Very difficult, though. That
Rivaldo was class.
He was fantastic. I think you could pick either of those. That's up to you. Preference.
Zidane or Kaká?
I absolutely love Kaká, but nobody's beating Zidane for me.
Do you know why I did?
It's not possible.
Do you know why I did them two? You've got like that shirt of Kaká and everything. I was like, you went to America, you saw Kaká play.
I love Kaká, despite the fact I've seen him, as a child dismantle Manchester United.
Yeah, it's like,
but I think when it comes to midfielders, I don't think anyone beats Zidane for me. So yeah, Kaká just going short there, unfortunately.
Zidane wasn't like a positional player. It's like throw him in there and put your midfielders in and just let Zidane
just
do
let
his
him
thing.
Win everything for him.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable.
Henry or Ronaldo?
R9 or stinks, doesn't it? That the Premier League bias creeps in a little bit here.
I guess so. Yeah.
Again, seen R9 destroy Manchester United as a child.
He even got applauded by United fans?
I think R9. Sorry, Arsenal fans.
It's a tough one, though, isn't it?
No, that is very difficult, yeah.
Yeah. We've got Trezeguet or Ronaldinho there.
Ronaldinho.
Yeah. So that's all I've got for them. But there was some tough ones in there.
Yeah, for sure. I think Kaká, Zidane, very difficult. Certainly for me personally. I think a lot of people will be like, oh, Zidane. But
yeah,
R9 Henry is very difficult.
Kaká was very gifted, very gifted. It was. Do you know what I've seen as well? Like, I think it was the club. It was Tom Garrett that mentioned this. Don't know if you've seen it, but he said like the quality of players. Like we've mentioned it before, but the quality of players now compared to back in days, just like who do you turn on the TV and want to watch? And to be fair, at the moment, the only person you're saying is Palmer.
In the Prem, I think there's
City have got some gifted players, but they're limited. Like, I used to love watching Grealish, and now I don't like watching him.
This is not a negative connotation at all, but I think Pep's style of play and the rotation of his squad and his embarrassment of riches at Manchester City throttles the absolute footballing gift that we get to see from some of those fantastic players. Like Bernardo Silva, realistically, could probably play anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
In multiple positions. Like he walks into teams.
Well, look at them players. And Foden,
people
Silva.
don't even think about him like that, though.
No.
I don't think some City fans do and some football fans do, but he, when you watch him, is magic. Like, I hate to say it because I actually think he's a rat and he plays for City. I hate him. But just take all of it away and look at the football. And I don't feel like people even talk about him that much.
Look what Grealish is doing in the cam position now.
I think
for England.
How much we loved him before he went to City. You know how much we loved watching him for Villa, and United got linked to him.
Well, did you see the last two games for England? Grealish has been playing in the 10 role. He's looked unreal.
I just think unleashed a little bit. Like he's allowed to play a little more. It's not as much, in Pep's system. I do think creativity is shunned a little bit. Even like someone like Doku gets every now and then he's allowed to have a go. Because we all said how much we liked him when he joined the league, and he was very bright. And I feel like he had to keep playing games, which is difficult anyway for Guardiola because he's got to rotate.
You have to abide by his rules, though, don't
you? And I don't think he likes to see you showing off all like that. And I think back in the day when we make reference to that, for example, you compare your Ballon d'Or shortlists for this year and then. How many players do you actually want to watch? Like you say, Palmer, you never know what you're going to get because he's like that. Vinny Jr. is probably one. Like
I love especially in the Champions League last season. I loved watching Vinicius. I thought he single-handedly won most of them games. To be fair,
yeah, he's good to watch. He'll take a man on. He's a bit of a he's a bit of a cheeky shit house. But
there's not like that Neymar or like a Suarez. I love watching him. Like there's not that player anymore. Like Haaland is up there. He's great. He's a great goal scorer. But you don't turn on your TV saying I can't wait to watch Haaland.
No, I think he's a fantastic goal scorer. He's the best in the league. He might be the best in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
Probably is. I don't think there's any question, to be honest, actually, when you think about it. But in terms of when you compare him to, a lot of people compare him to Mbappe, don't they? And I'm like, Mbappe is a better footballer. Haaland's a better finisher, but Mbappe's got so much more technical ability.
But even Mbappe, I wouldn't turn on my TV and say I can't wait to watch Mbappe. Don't really do it for me.
Not quite happening yet at Madrid, is it?
No, not really.
But maybe, they've had this issue before. The Galacticos didn't win as much as people make out. And they're building that kind of team again.
Yeah. The main thing what Tom Garrett said, I think he was like, I do think Rodri should arguably win the Ballon d'Or or whatever, or Vinicius. But that shouldn't be happening. It's like having Busquets winning your Ballon d'Or, isn't it? But Busquets was phenomenal. But I'd say Busquets were better than Rodri. And he never even got close.
I think it's very difficult because everyone views this in a slightly different way, and they absolutely must value the trophies won. Because to me, the Euros felt like the line in the sand, right? Where if we won it, Jude probably wins. But Spain won it, so now it seems like Rodri will win. But then everyone's actually talking about the fact Vinny's actually going to win.
I think Vinicius should have it.
And I think that's probably more in the vein of, it will just add to the argument that, with exception to Modric, and I'm sure there's a few more further back than that maybe we can't remember as much because that transcends our era a little bit. but it is normally attacking players with silly numbers and trophies that go and win these because people prefer to watch them. And I think similar to, I mean, I've said it before and I'm glad it didn't happen, but I think it should have been a Manchester City player the treble year and Messi won.
Yeah.
And I think it should be Rodri this year. I don't want him to win it because why would I want that as a United fan? But I do think it's probably fair.
I think I said last season, didn't I, to you, I said, the Ballon d'Or's changed now because you don't have them flair players anymore. And it's not, to be fair, I said, you're not having the figures that Ronaldo and Messi did. Like, so say Haaland did like the goal scorer and he got so many or whatever. Fair enough. But I don't think the Ballon d'Ors from now on are going to be about that. I think it's about your performances, and Vinicius Junior's performances have been better than anyone else's. So I think he should get it.
You know, when you look at the fact they won the Champions League and he scored in the final, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. They might have scored in the semi-final. He was part of them getting all the way there.
Yeah. Them counter-attacks against like the main games like City and stuff, he was great.
But you look at Rodri in the treble winning season, scored the winning final in the Champions League, was an integral part of them winning every piece of silverware that they did win that season.
Well, they're saying Haaland should have got it as well, didn't they?
Well, yeah, I think you can certainly make that case because we discussed it on the pod at the time. What more was he supposed to do that year? Apart from maybe him being the one that scored in the Champions League final, he joined a football club for the first time in the Premier League, won 3 trophies, 2 of them major trophies, a historic treble, and broke the goal record in the league in his first season.
Yeah.
If you're not going to win the Ballon d'Or for that, you may as well give up.
Yeah.
You know, difficult one. I can't say I'm angry about it because it's City, and I'm quite happy to see it not happen.
Yeah.
But it's probably unfair.
Yeah. I like, you know, I stand on like the playing out from the back and stuff and all this stuff. I think it's part of what Pep's brought into the game. Pep's amazing, but with everyone trying to copy Pep, it's kind of diminished the talent, hasn't it? But we won't get onto that much. So we'll move on to England.
Yay.
I was going to ask you, who is England's most important player? So I've got mine. I was just seeing if you've got the same.
I still find this, we've discussed this before, haven't we? Obviously, times changed. I've got to also assume, you know, an 11 in my head to make this assumption on who I think the player is.
Mine's different from before.
I don't know if mine is. I think mine's the same as last time. I find it difficult because some of them I've seen have... I'm going to go with the same one, but without blabbering on. Mine's still Declan Rice, which I think is who I picked when we discussed this last time.
So I picked Rice last time, but mine's different. I'd say Grealish.
Oh my goodness. It's an outlandish shout. Someone who was dropped from the last tournament.
Yeah. I just think after seeing what Grealish can do, it's reminded me how great he was. So he's put Gordon on his left and he's put Grealish as the 10. And some of the stuff, like how we get up the pitch because Grealish takes the ball and carries it and stuff, is phenomenal. But I said Rice last time because I said, like, we don't have that DM. But now, it's like they're not playing him DM, they're playing the 2 in the mid. And I think if you had Mainu and Bellingham in the centre mids, it wouldn't be as bad.
No, we don't know yet, for sure.
I mean, I thought it was the 4-3-3 at the time. Rice is the only defensive midfielder we've got. Now he's not even playing defensive, so I say that's gone out the window now. I think it's a different player.
No, I understand the thought process there, but for me, he is still the only profile like that in the whole squad.
Yeah, true.
I think you can maybe argue there's a few players that could play that role and to effectively, maybe not as good as him, but to a degree. You could play a different midfield structure like you just said there. I still think England's success will lie in having him sit right in front of the back line, picking up the ball. I think it was a mistake playing differently. I think they were trying to adapt to the way he'd been playing at Arsenal in the season previously. I think Rice is... Because I don't think Rice had a particularly good campaign, to be honest with you. I think
it's a lot to do with the punditry, you know, because all these pundits like Gary Neville and stuff started coming out and saying, like, I think Declan Rice is the best when he's, like, going back and forth. And ever since like they
trying
started
to make
saying
it more
it
of a
on
box
there,
to box.
yeah, I'm not saying the Arteta and the England manager Southgate listen to the pundits. I'm not saying that, but ever since they started saying that, it was like Declan Rice was always used as like a DM, and ever since that started being an agenda, he started coming up and being a box to box. And I noticed Rice being better when he was a DM.
I personally think for England, his best performances were previous to the last tournament. I don't think he had a terrible tournament, but I don't think it was as good as what we'd seen before.
No.
And I think, this is just my opinion, obviously, I think in that previous campaign, he had Thomas Partey, he had Jorginho, he had other people in the midfield that would drop in so he could play more of a box-to-box role. Arsenal fans may disagree, that's my outside perspective. And I think that leaked into the England performance, whether that was deliberate, whether that's the way he plays now, whether Southgate told him to play. I don't know, you know what's true there and what's not. But I still think we're best poised with having him sitting deeper with two more creative players in front, or one creative player in front and someone who's a bit more in the engine room. And on that basis, I think you take him out of there, I don't think there's anyone that can step in. Also, I'd argue just against the Grealish point. I mean, I don't dislike the choice because I think Grealish is a great outlet. I think he carries the ball really well. I think he's a fantastic creator of the ball if you play him in that 10 role. Can put good crosses in, etc. But I don't think he necessarily is advantageous to play over the competition for places for his position.
Oh, no, yeah, you've got loads. I know, like, when I say it, I've obviously realised, there's obviously loads of people. But I'm just saying,
I don't think they're the same as him, though. I think you're still right, though.
Yeah.
I think Grealish is the only player like Grealish in the team, in the squad even.
Even if you put Grealish on the left wing, which I'd be happy doing,
yeah,
he still carries the ball well, he still puts good crosses in, and it's not like he's the left winger at City, it's a different left winger for England, do you know what I mean? So I think Grealish is probably the difference maker, but obviously you've got like the Palmer, Foden, they've got all them sort of players, but I think Grealish carries the ball better than them all. So
the attacking prospects we've got moving forward, I know for an absolute fact, unless there is injuries, the manager is going to be upsetting some big talents because we can't fit them all in. Even if you play some out position, you still can't fit everybody in.
Yeah, whoever the next manager is for England, you need to be willing to upset players but keep them on side at the same time. So if you're leaving Palmer out, have some words with him in the background, like just say you're going to win me this game, but I need to bring you on later on. Just like Fergie did a lot of that.
Well, we'll see as well if it's going to be Carsley, is it going to be someone else?
Yeah,
my gut feeling is he'll probably end up with the job, providing we win the games that we've got coming up.
Probably, it always happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
Yeah,
I think it does depend on who's available as well.
So I tasked you with this, so we've come up with our perfect, this is going to upset people, but we've come up with our perfect England lineup if the World Cup was coming now.
Yeah, I really.
So you're going off form plus who you'd like to see. So what we'll do, we'll go position each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd struggled very much so with this. There's a few shoe-ins for me.
I struggled with this.
For the most part, though, there was a number of positions where I'm not entirely happy with this, but I've gone with it.
I've upset some big names, but if I was manager, that's what I'd do. So, goalkeeper.
Well, this one I don't think is going to have changed. It's Jordan Pickford always.
Oh, right. No, I've got... yeah, I'm joking. Yeah, I've got Pickford as well. So, what about the right back?
I have gone with Trent. I think Kyle Walker has been unbelievable for England, and I don't think that that's necessarily over. But
maybe bring him on in different games and stuff.
Could be. I think there's certain profiles of games. Surely this is time to have Trent playing now.
Maybe if I don't know, you've got your 2 early goals or your 3 early goals at like 70th minute, you bring Walker on instead and then bring Trent off. There
might also be games where he is a better choice to start.
Yes. If you're playing against Mbappe, maybe you start Walker.
We've discussed it before. It depends, I think. Let's see how he gets on this season as well, because I don't think he started the best.
Well, the way Trent's been setting goals up recently, I don't think you can leave him out.
I meant obviously that meant I meant Walker then as well. Yeah. But yeah, Trent for me, as of right now, and as of also who I would like to see I think that'll probably be the same.
Yeah. So I've got Trent as well. I think people might have said that I hated him last season, but I actually think he's really grown into it.
It's about that time.
Yeah, I think it's time for him, yeah. Your 2 centre-backs.
I think this is probably likely to be completely different by the time we reach our next tournament, because I don't think anybody truly knows.
It's next year.
It must be, yeah.
It's next year.
It is. It's US, Mexico, Canada.
Yeah.
World Cup. But based on right now, based on the last tournament, it's a bit boring, but I'm going John Stones and Mark Gay as my starting centre-back pair.
Yeah, I've got the same.
I do think there's potential for others to be there first. Right now, that's who I would pick. I think Gahey as well, taking the armband at Palace and Anderson being out of the door. When I've watched Palace, he looks like a much more commanding figure than I'd thought of him previously.
To be fair, we didn't say about that, but I think Anderson's a massive miss for Palace.
He is, yeah. But just going back to that, I think potentially maybe he was like that anyway, and I just failed to pick up on it. But certainly since he's been part of the England team and a big part of England's campaign in the last Euros, it looks like his confidence is so much greater now.
Yeah, sometimes that's what it takes for a player to.
Before he looked like he was filling in. Now to me looks like an England starting.
Yeah.
Player.
We did hear that he's not like as vocal. He's quite quiet, but I mean, if you're doing your job, it speaks volumes anyway, doesn't it? So the left back position is quite a tough one. But who have you gone for left back?
Well, I did discuss this with ours off camera. But so I put him in and then realised he plays the other side. But let's just forget about Luke Shaw because we can just pretend he doesn't exist.
He might as well retire now. I know it sounds harsh, but come on.
We never see him. He gets the odd game, whether that's United or England. He's been great at times. I'm just writing him off. Ben Chilwell, you may as well do the same. So I've put Rico Lewis in. Obviously gets deployed at right back more often. Still a very young talent as well. So it's sort of a mixture for me of putting him in here because he is a natural fullback. As we can see in Pep's system, he can play that position. He's comfortable on the ball as well.
Yeah, he can play left back, yeah.
He's also very young, so I think he can adapt to play a bit all over the place. And I honestly don't think there's an obvious answer for this one. I think it is like, pick who you think. I don't think there's like, oh, you missed him, he's an absolute shoo-in.
So with Trent at right back, I've gone, this is more tactical view from me, I've gone Levi Colwill there. Because I think...
Just because you like Levi's?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say. I didn't pick my namesake, but...
To be fair, Colwill, he had... Not really a good season last season.
He was now it looks like, wasn't he? Last year?
Now it looks like he's in the starting 11 more. So you never know what's going to happen. But if it carries on the way it is now, I'd put Colwill left back, and that's because I've got Trent pushing on more, so that'd create a free at the back.
Yes, yeah.
So I've got that. I've got Levi Colwill, Stones, Gahey, and Trent.
I think that's very realistic as well. I think he is one of those players that can certainly adapt to that system, and it seems to be more and more common that managers want to play that way these days.
Depends what manager you have, because I have got / Rico Lewis if it needs to be.
I think, it depends maybe what tactics you're going to play, doesn't it?
I mean, if you're an upcoming English left back, start playing your ass off because you'll get in. Right, have you gone 2 centre mids? And then 1 cam?
Yeah, so I've gone 3 midfielders.
Okay, let's go them 2 centre mids then.
Okay, so one of these isn't in on form, but I'm still putting him in for the time being. So I've gone Rice, obviously I mentioned before, so I assume you knew he was going to be in there. Rice, Jude, and...
Not putting your most important player in.
Rice, Jude, and Foden. Foden obviously barely playing. Failed to see whether he's really made much of an impact. I mean, I've not watched an awful lot of Manchester City this year, but when I keep seeing the lineups, he's not been on the starting lineups an awful lot. Don't know what the reason is for that.
It's Pep.
I still have to pick him, and if the last tournament's taught us anything, this guy has to play through the middle. And even then, he didn't look great at times, but I'm going to still stick with him for this one.
Okay, so I've got Rice and Bellingham as my 2. My centre attacking mid is Palmer. I don't think you can leave him out there.
I've not left him out.
You've put him on wing, right? Okay, so I've put Palmer behind the strike because I think that's why he's playing for Chelsea. I think he's comfortable there. I think you'll see probably the best out of him.
I think you're probably right. Despite the fact I've not, for this, put him there, I haven't left him out, but I do think that's his best position.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you now, I've left Foden out.
Yeah, I think that's the decision you have to make, isn't it? Because let's just get it over with. Saka's nailed on the right, and Kane's still nailed on up top, despite the performances of Kane in the last tournament weren't as good as what we've seen in the past.
Well, that's the reason why I haven't put... Yeah, I thought you would have put Palmer on the right.
Well, I think
you've put him on the left, have you?
Because I think you could, if you play Foden, I think you can arguably have a fluid movement between those two, between Palmer and Foden, taking up each other's positions in the, playing a total football style of play where positions don't exist and you're very fluid.
To be fair, that's what Inzaghi does at Inter. I've been looking into him because he's been rumoured with United. But...
From Cruyff, isn't it? That's where Pep learnt it all from, and it's all been passed down all them years. I think if you're playing like that, where you can move quite fluid across the front three, I think it doesn't necessarily matter, despite the fact on the team sheet in my managerial fictional world here, I've put him on the left. I'm expecting him to cut in, if he's cut in, Foden to go out wide. Saka's nailed on that right, staying there, because I think, especially the way he started this season, he is...
Yeah, there's arguably, he can play the left back, because I think, didn't he get brought up as a left back, and then he went into right wing? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, when he came into the Arsenal team, through the youth setup...
bit like Gareth Bale, this story, isn't it?
People said Arteta, wasn't it? I'm sure it's the manager before Arteta when Saka started getting bled through into the team. Maybe I'm wrong.
Unai Emery?
Yeah, I mean... Was it Unai Emery before? Maybe it is Arteta then. To me, it feels like so long ago when Saka came through. So maybe it was Arteta, but I feel like it was definitely at left back when he first started playing.
Yeah, but to be fair, I'm in one of these positions where people obviously won't like this, but I don't think, as in England point of view, Saka's great, right? When people are saying Saka's a world class, like in Premier League and Arsenal, I really don't agree with that. I don't think he's world class. But for England, he's done fantastic. He does go on the right for me. I've got Kane up top, and I've got Grealish on the left.
Yeah.
So my front four is basically Saka, Palmer, Grealish, Kane. And the reason why, obviously, I've got Grealish on the left, because I said he was the most important player. I couldn't leave him out.
You couldn't leave him out.
But I also think if you put Palmer on the wing, I think you're kind of limiting his abilities. I think he needs to play through that middle. So the main player I've left out is Foden that I'm going to have to upset.
I think by the time... This is my bold call now. We can clip this. Especially considering United currently sitting in 14th. My bold call is going to be that by the time this squad is picked for the next tournament, that Marcus Rashford will be back in form. And whether he's in the 11 or not, I'm not... But he'll be back in that squad and contesting for because I can get my words out. Contesting for a spot on the left side. I think we discussed it on the pod at the time. We missed that kind of profile of player at the Euros. We needed someone with runs in behind, and I think what we are seeing from Rashford, despite the fact United have been dismal at the start of this season, I don't think you can blame any of that on Marcus Rashford. I think he's looked like he's back confident.
Don't get me wrong, he's still making mistakes and everything, but he's looking a bit more confident than last season anyway. Yeah, he does look sharp. Even in pre-season, he looks sharp. I've
got confidence in him at the moment that when he squares a man up, that he's probably going to do him. And I lost all confidence in that last season.
Do you know, on that left wing position, I've got Grealish, Gordon and Rashford, and I think they're the three players on the left wing that needs to be taken for the next World Cup. I just think I'd play the Grealish, but with the Kane up front, I want to take the direct players. I want to at least have them there if my Grealish thing doesn't work. Well, so obviously you need to have you can't just have, Gordon, if he gets injured, you've got no, but that's why you've got Saka on the right as well, because he can be direct as well. So
I think you can play Foden and Palmer anywhere in a front four. I think you could play front three, maybe not as a striker, but I think you could play Foden on the right, left, or in the 10. I think you can play Palmer right, left, or in the 10.
To be fair, you could probably play Foden as a false 9, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. Despite the fact, I don't know where their best positions are. Everyone was saying to us, weren't they, in the Euros? I was saying it. Foden's got to play in the 10. Has to play in the 10. Even though Jude was phenomenal. Foden has to play in the 10. Eventually, when he got a run out in the centre, he stank. And I think that was just unfortunate. It just wasn't happening. But
It's not really happened for him in an England shirt yet, has it?
No. Not apart from odd moments in little... there's not been big games where we've needed moments that he's delivered so far.
He's got time, but I mean, you've got Palmer coming through now. That's why I've left him out, so yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people online making this argument about Palmer and Foden. Maybe that's why, because of the whole England thing.
I think they're both They're both at the best in that centre position, so I think you've got to keep him there. Probably. But the thing is with Jude, I actually like his qualities when I watch him. I'm like, do you know what? You're
so much more physical as well.
Yeah, you're a perfect box to box. So can you just focus on that? Because like I had a feeling last season because he was playing like that false nine role. I was like, don't turn into that player, please, because you've got so much abilities to be a box to box. He's got the legs like back and forth. Like he's like kind of he can be like because he's got long strides and stuff. He's got like I'm not saying Yaya Toure because Yaya Toure is amazing, but like that sort of character for that box to box midfield. And I think if you're having the Rice sitting, have the Bellingham going box to box, I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want Bellingham to be that centre mid. I don't want him to be a forward or a cam or anything like that.
Yeah, no, well, I put him the same in my system, but I'm just thinking from the point of view of whoever's in charge, how will they deploy him?
Depends who's the manager, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
Let's have the reaction of the result then.
Oh yeah, Brighton did win 3-2.
Yeah, they did.
What a comeback. Spurs, you have done an Everton, as I like to call it this season. 2-0 up.
And that manager that's better than Ten Hag has just lost.
Do you think he's better than Ten Hag?
Yeah. But there is a lot of flaws with Postecoglou, but I mean, you can't be too fussy, can you? At least he's got a way of playing.
Great comeback from Brighton at home. Yeah. 2-0 down at half-time at home to win.
After them 34 years, they're here to stay.
I hope not. And they still won't make my 20.
Do you not like them being in the Prem?
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that they get one on United quite a lot and have done since they came up.
Did you like the away day when you went?
I've never been, no.
Did you not go that time?
No, Jammer and Matt and that have been. I've never done Brighton.
Ah, I thought you went.
Yeah, maybe it's a good day out, seaside and all that.
Seagulls stealing your chips.
They normally get a result on United.
Yeah.
At least Pascal Gross isn't there anymore because I feel like he scored against us every time we played him.
I feel like Welbeck does as well.
Yeah. For whoever he played for, whether it was Arsenal before.
Yeah.
Did he go to Watford or somewhere in between?
No, I can't remember.
I'm sure he was playing. I remember him playing in yellow.
It was Arsenal's yellow kit, probably.
No, come on. Someone confirm that below, I'm sure. But with that, we'll sign off. Obviously, the international break pending. We will still be doing a pod. We'll try and make it entertaining. We don't want to go all out on the internationals. We know that bores you a bit, so we might have a bit of fun with it next week.
Well, with Chelsea being in quite good form, and obviously Liverpool are going to be playing them next week, so next pod we'll probably do a bit of a segment on that. Looking onto the upcoming fixtures, yeah.
But yeah, if you've stayed with us the whole way, we very much appreciate your time. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, on Spotify you can leave us a rating and follow. On Apple Podcasts you can follow the podcast. If you're on YouTube, if you can like, that's a great help. If you can subscribe if you're new, or if you're not new and you just haven't subscribed, get it done. Comment below if you've got anything to add to what we discussed, or if you've got any topics you'd like us to discuss moving forward. And I think that about covers it. TikTok and all that, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, they'll be uploaded in between episodes, so there'll be content there for you. And we'll be back next Wednesday with a new pod. Cheers.